Hi there. So it's Nikki Howard here, and I'm with me tonight is Norma. And Norma is the first one I'm actually doing this with, this little chat, interview, painting, just being together in this creative bubble. And Norma is she's one of my facilitators who I trained with Intuartiv Expression. And you've just absolutely boomed. Because when you first joined, we both know, don't we, that you've actually said that, you weren't creative or you couldn't do art.
Not at all. Not at all. No.
And now look at you. Is that
Yes,
one of yours? Is that one of yours behind you?
phone's behind me. Yes. I did that
Wow.
about a month ago. And then this little
Wow.
one I did just during the week. Yeah.
Incredible. And is that painted?
Painted, yes,
Yeah,
acrylic.
it just looks from here. I couldn't see whether it was like painted, where there's decoupage on it, and it looks beautiful. The reflection.
The reflection, yes.
Mm.
Yes. So I mean, I love nature, so anytime I can be around nature, that inspires me. And for today, what I'm painting is also inspired by nature and the ocean and a piece of wood that I found in the ocean. And so I can share that with you when we're ready.
Definitely. Oh my goodness, driftwood. So, because yeah, but I mean, or just quickly touch on um how you were before Intuartiv, because as we said, you weren't creative.
No. So before Intuartiv, I had a corporate job, very analytical, always on the computer and Excel and spreadsheets and math. And I was like really good at that. I mean, I still am, but you know, creative stuff, like not my thing. And so when I saw your post about painting with essential oils, I'm like, oh, I have essential oils. So I was curious about it. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And so after took your course and I went through the process, and I think I just released blocks that were probably
Mm.
there that I didn't know. I mean, subconsciously, I didn't know they were there. And so my creativity just started coming out of nowhere. Well,
It's
not
it's a
nowhere, but doing the process. That's what happened with me. And so I'm into whatever I'm doing creative, and I just don't do paint like I do a lot of other things because I'm just curious and I'm interested and I want to learn. And it gives me such like joy and a lot of zen when I do this. And for me, it's also been healing. So
mm.
um, it's been wonderful. I
So
can't thank you.
when you were all that in the analytical and the corporate job, did you have any feelings about wanting to be creative, or was it just completely shut away that you didn't know it was there?
Yeah, I didn't know it was there. So I would have to also proof the marketing materials that went out to public, like when you get a piece of direct mail piece. And so my job was really to make sure that everything was perfect, the pricing was perfect, that the wording, that the disclaimer was perfect. But there was the marketing department and they were in charge of the creative. And so I would look at stuff and go, well, that doesn't like make sense. But it was only to correct what didn't make sense, but not art creatively, not artistically. So no, yeah,
I mean, because that's also on making sure everything's perfect. It's really like emphasizing the perfection and the need to be perfect.
yes,
Completely different to obviously everything we do now with Intuartiv. But now, I mean, I saw it at the end of the course and saw how you just began to get more and more creative. And as you say, it's not just paint you touch. You do so much more.
right, right. And so I'm always interested in what I can do, right? Or so I want to also challenge myself, and not just stick to one thing. I like variety, so yeah,
So
I like to
what have
try.
you touched on?
Wow. I started on Canvas because was like what everybody does, you know, everybody starts to paint and think that they can only do on Canvas. But I started then painting on glass, and I really loved the feeling of how it felt, how your hands feel on glass, and also of texture. So then I started adding like paste, you know, texture paste onto the canvas. And so I really like enjoyed that. I like things that make noise. So sometimes I'll even take like tissue paper and then just put it on top, and I just like the feel of it and the noise it makes. I've tried putting flowers on canvas and on wood. And so I hand paint the flowers. They're called wood flowers. And so I hand paint the flowers. And so you probably have seen some of my pictures on Facebook that I've shown how that is. And I'm just like exploring different things. I'm actually going to start a junk journal soon.
Yes.
With paper. And I can get creative. I get so creative with a junk journal. And so I purchased a junk journal, and then I'll just start filling it in and just start doing stuff with it.
I think I can't wait to see where you go with that. And it's really funny how you say about with like the noise, because not only like with oils, obviously that was the smell, and now you're on with it the noise as well. So it gets really into the senses.
Yes, very, very much so. And so I mean, I don't know where this is going to take me. I hope it takes me into some way that I can earn money and I can teach other people to do this. But for now, I'm just having fun with it. And I've had some people approach me about buying my stuff. And so I think that people like it. And so I think that also translates some of my energy into the work, because people look at it and go like, wow. I'm like, I don't think it's that wow, but they love it. So, and they want to purchase it. So it's great.
It's a really good sign. And I see some of your stuff, and yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And then you held a workshop not long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I had a company reach out to me just from my Facebook post, saying that they wanted to do a team building event for their employees. And so they contacted me, and so we did a card making class, because it had to be something like fun, quick, but easy, because it was during their lunch break. And so I thought, okay, like card making with napkins, and that's easy because they just have to take the napkin and put it on the card with some Mod Podge, and then let it dry, and it's basically you have your card. But they were so happy and so excited. But the best part was that the men actually were enjoying it more than the ladies.
And that's what's really surprised me as well. That yeah, that the word, you know, there's a lot of men there that don't often, you know, not always drawn to creative.
Participate, yeah. And so they were enjoying it, and the comments back were that it was actually therapeutic. So even something as quick and easy in a short time can be very therapeutic, and can be good for your health, right?
Yeah, and I think that opens the door to we can start painting if you want. I'm quite open to painting and chatting. Yeah, I think, you know, even just doing something really quick like that, just like a little lunchtime thing, it gives people opportunity to do something they never would have done before. And so it's really like open them out, thinking, well, oh my goodness, I can do this. And just opens that creative, that creative bit that we all have it.
So I'm just going to share with you my piece of driftwood that kind of inspired me to paint this. Not this, but this is what.
Oh, wow. That's
and
gorgeous.
Actually looking at it now, it kind of looks like a little dragon, doesn't it?
Yeah. Totally. It's even got the eye there.
On the eye. I hadn't looked at it this way before.
That is gorgeous. So are you drawing it, painting it, just inspired from it?
I am going to use this canvas that I have here. And so what I've done is I took the paste and I've created kind of like that, like a similar to the drift, but And so then we'll go from here and see what happens.
Oh, and I love the shape of that.
Yeah, this one is different. I also like to try different shapes. So not just square canvases. I like the round ones, and this one's a hexagon.
I do love
So
painting on round. When I did my chakra course, it was so interesting painting on a round canvas. It does completely change, and it does influence how you paint. Well,
yeah,
I've just gone classic, my turquoise again.
oh yeah, your favorite color.
Surprise, surprise. But I haven't brought my because I had tidied everything away. And oh my goodness, I forgot my hairdryer because I was using my hairdryer on making my little stones and pebbles,
Oh
and that
yes.
was in a different room. So I shall do without hairdryer because I did something completely different probably.
So how did you come up with the pebble idea?
I had always wanted to do clay. That's always been a thing for me that in the back of my mind. And I don't know how air dry clay came up, but I remember going through a shop and saw they got air dry clay. I thought, oh, it's only a couple of euros, nothing to lose. I'll have a go.
Yeah.
And I didn't know quite what to do with it. I was, playing around. And then one of my friends, I said, oh, Nikki, I've got an idea. Can we chat? And she told me about this woman who makes like clay pebbles,
Mm.
very small that you put essential oils into, but it's with clay and it's baked. And I started making these little pebbles. And it just started coming to me as I was doing it that this could be a really nice tool for helping people, like to do with their meditation or their gratitude practice, and just having a little twist on, the classic little pebbles that, little stones that people do.
All right. And how does the essential oil stay on the clay or the
So
pebble?
that was quite a thing for me. So I was like, how am I going to do this? Because air dry clay needs to be varnished
Uh-huh.
because it's not baked, and obviously with the paints on it as well. I thought these really need to be varnished. What am I going to do with the oils? And my husband came up with the idea, well, why don't you put a little hole in there? So
Steve
I
is
got it.
so smart. Let me tell you.
He has some really good creative ideas, and so I got my Dremel, and not a complete hole, so it's a hole into the pebble,
Yeah. Okay.
and you can drop the oil into there.
And so that part's not varnished, and so then
No, it's
you
just a
can
little hole
absorb
that goes down.
the essential oil in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
About about 4 or 5 millimeters wide. So that they're on the meditation one. So the amazing. We were sat in bed. I said, like, I really need some, because we always have a chat, before going to sleep about the day and everything. And I said, I really need to find a name for these stones. And I said, quite like the fact of having Zen in there. And he
Yeah.
said, wow, they're amazing. I thought, oh.
Oh.
So amazing came the idea. Oh, they're amazing. And then I've made small ones as well that are called for gratitude practice. So there's about 5. They're sold in groups of 5. And therefore, if you're doing a gratitude practice of taking one and feeling it, because it's full of texture as well. And so like just closing your eyes and concentrating on the texture and then feeling into that one thing that you were happy for the day, and just think about it and feel the emotion of it. And then when
Yeah.
you finish, take the next one. And then, you work through five things a day you were thankful for. And I thought, I need to find another name for things like stones and pebbles. And then we got on about seeds. And then he said, well, a pod. What about posipod? Positive pods. So it became
Positive.
as a posipod.
Oh, I love it.
And
Love it.
I mean, Steve was also the one who found my name for Intuartiv Expression.
Oh,
He's
really?
yeah, yeah. I was sat there trying to think, I don't know what to call this with intuitive painting. And he said, what about Intuitive Expression? He should, that's his thing. He's so good with names.
Yes. I know he's named a lot of your animals at the
Yeah. Yeah, the cats and yeah, he named them all. And he got those right because our second litter of kittens, there were 3. And so he said, well, we ought to have really things beginning with like TR or T because there's 3 of them.
Right.
And so there was one ginger one. He said, well, that's obviously Tigger. And then there was a tiny one. He said, well, Trinket. And she really has stayed small. She's the smallest of the lot. She's so mini. And then the third one, he said, what about Treacle? I said, well, that's really cute. So we started calling him Treacle. And then he said, Mr. T. And he really has grown into, Mr. T out of the 18. So he is really big and chunky.
He's big.
He's big. He's big built, solid, but he's got a heart of gold. He's very soft underneath, but he's the one that goes out fighting and like, really? It's Mr. T.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, he does have a good name for them. Oh, so what's your it's one question that I always love asking people is what's your big dream? Do you have a big dream connected to art?
Oh, to art, yes. I want to teach people how to do this. That's my big dream. And not just for the financial aspect, but because I got so much out of it that I think that it'd be selfish of me just to keep it to myself, right? And
Completely.
so something that I love that you're doing, and I think Rebecca is doing as well, is you had this idea and you wanted to launch it. You didn't know how, but you just went and you did it. And then now you have all of us, expanding upon that, not just to our own little circle of the women that took your class, but to others. And like Rebecca, what she's doing with those teenage kids, like, just like my heart just like, gets so expanded because she doesn't realize, like, I'm getting emotional right now, that what she's doing with these kids is just so amazing, so amazing, and she's affecting them for the rest of their lives,
Completely. And I feel the same, when I read Rebecca's posts. Rebecca is another Intuartiv Expression facilitator, and it brings tears to my eyes reading her posts. It's just like, one thing, it really humbles me because I realize that the power of Intuartiv of what's happening, but also on how she's doing it and how she's changed it. Yeah, these people's lives who are surrounded by violence, and they're just not in a good environment, and how she's opened them up, and literally, as you said, that they're being changed forever.
Yes,
And
forever.
to give them that confidence and self-assurance.
And in such a positive way, and using art as a way for them to learn to express themselves, and maybe heal some of that trauma or pain that they're going through. It's so it's just, I love it.
And it's a domino effect, because obviously helping to heal those, and how they will then have that effect. I can't find my words tonight. How that will then go on and help other people, how they're going to be uplifted.
Yeah.
And then
so one of the gentlemen that was in the napkin art making class was saying to me, like, oh my God, he's like, I'm gonna go home and do this with my kids,
wow.
It's like, it's so easy and so simple, and it's like, I think that they would benefit from this, and so you just never know. And so that's my dream, is like to be able to teach other people, how to use art and how it can be beneficial, to our mental health, especially.
How have you found it benefiting you?
For me, I think that when I first started doing Intuartiv Expression, I was very frustrated with the process. And I cried a lot, and I thought, well, this can't be it. This is not fun.
What frustrated you?
I think when I was doing the layers and I couldn't get past the layers, So I mean, maybe you want to explain intuitive and why layers are important.
Yeah.
But at some point I would get frustrated, and that's because I just hadn't gone far enough. And so yeah, so maybe explain intuitive expression. And
so yes, so intuitive expression, basically, yes, we're painting a layer, as Norma says, and each layer is treated as a separate canvas. And what happens is when we're painting one layer, drying it, and then painting another layer on top, eventually, and this tends to happen after about four layers, the brain starts to realize that whatever is being painted is not going to be seen, it's going to be painted over. So that then it begins to let go, because then it says, well, hang on a minute, it doesn't matter what I paint, it's not going to be seen anyway. And so as we go through the process and we push by these about 4 layers, this is where the magic happens, where we begin to feel the emotion, we begin to see our emotions being reflected in the paint. And it's where the true healing begins. And as Norma says, she was getting really frustrated because some people can't go beyond that layer, because going beyond that layer, it's almost like, if I let go, what's going to happen, what's behind it. Yeah. And so a lot of people will stop because they're not wanting to go into that deep emotion, which is what was happening to you, wasn't it? You were just hitting that wall every time. And it happens so much in my courses. So what made you take it further?
So once I went through the layers, and I did it, you know, not just one time, I started to notice that, oh, this is actually fun. Oh, I'm no longer crying. Oh, I'm no longer resisting. Oh, this is actually good.
Wow.
And so then the next time I you know, we had to do a painting, or we had to do the intuitive expression, and because it's intuitive, like you said, I didn't have a expected outcome. And then at the end, if I didn't like it, oh, it's just paint, it's just paper, it's just, you know, I can throw it in the bin
if you want.
I can burn it, you know. And so I actually did have a ritual one where I did burn it. And so that was also very healing. And so, like, it's just, there was no reason for me to be scared or afraid, or what the outcome was, because that wasn't the result, I guess. That wasn't what was happening. And so I was just I started just to enjoy it. And then I started noticing, like, oh, this makes me feel good. This makes me feel better. Oh.
And I think that's the magic of it, isn't it? Because we can express those emotions that are deep within us without having to go through the pain.
Yes.
And it's actually turning it on its head, that pain then, or those emotions, that actually become something therapeutic in itself. It's almost like it's turning itself inside out.
Yeah.
So that the pain becomes a pleasure almost, and then we see the beauty of the painting. That then the art and the painting just pulls us forward. And as you were saying, you know, that the thing with Intuartiv is that there is the end. We don't know where the end is. We don't know what it's going to look like. We have no idea. And it really is this journey within. And I think the difference, because, you know, people are always at art therapy. Well, can be in a way, though I don't like to see it as art therapy. I see it more as a tool, whether that's for coaching or just healing. For me, it's more of a true healing modality. But
yeah. So the thing you said about a tool, so now I know I have a tool I can go to, right? And so that's the beauty of it. And I don't have to have a lot, you know, huge supply of art stuff. I just get a cardboard. I mean, you get cardboards
totally,
and all the time, you know. So you don't even need, you know, many brushes. You know, you can use some sponge, like I'm doing now. You can use foil paper. You know, you can use your fingers.
I had I don't think she was on the course that you did with me. There was a girl from Lapland, not Lapland, Lithuania. and she had never painted before, and she didn't have any brushes. She had some paint, and she used knives from her kitchen,
Nice.
knives and forks and spoon, and it was just like, do you remember?
Yeah, and she wasn't with me, but yeah.
So her paintings, it just blew my mind because it was almost like she was channeling. It was so detailed. So have you painted before? She said, no, this is the first time. And it was with knives. So, you don't, as you said, you don't have to buy any expensive equipment.
No.
Just do with what you got. The cheapest paint, borrow your children's paints. And I've saved up pizza boxes because I love that the pizza bases
They're
go
already
round.
square, right? Or the round, or yeah. And they actually, I don't know if they do it that way in where you are, but the pizza boxes in the US, the way that they're made, you can actually just flip them around and they become an easel.
Yes. Oh my, yeah, like the takeaway pit. Yes.
Yes,
I've
yes,
seen
yes.
that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so if you wanted an easel, there it is. You don't have to go buy it. Just go get yourself pizza.
And that's it, that's the aim. It's not about the equipment, it's about the experience.
Yes, yes. It's about the experience.
Yes.
Definitely.
And so yeah, your dream, I mean, already that was it, because you're saying about the dream is be able to obviously to teach art and take it out. So how did that feel for you when you were running that class, the team building?
Oh, it felt really good because the comments that I was getting, and I was, of course, a little nervous because I wanted it to be just right. And there were some people are very excited about, doing the class, and they were just like, oh yeah, show me. And some were like, no, like, I don't want to try it. I don't know how to do that. That's like, no, like, I don't want to try it. And then there was others where like I explained the process, but then they just went and did their own thing, right? And that's great. And so for me, it was also a learning experience, so that when I do go and teach people, that there's going to be people that are going to be very excited about it. Some people are not going to want to try it. And then some of the people even have to explain what the process is, that they're just going to do their thing. And all of that is fine, and that it's okay. Versus saying, no,
everybody
has to do it. I have to do it the way I'm showing them to them. No, like
no.
you do.
Yeah. And I think that was a whole, not the whole point. I think there's a big part of that class for you that was about that, was opening the door. This is beginning, helping you to touch that dream.
Yes.
Like feeling the big toe of it, it's there coming in.
Yes. And so yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and just asking like what I was doing. And so I was telling about this class. And then he's like, oh, where I'm going to go work tomorrow is a temple, and they usually have like fundraisers. And I'm like, he's like, I'm going to mention to them, if they want to have an art class as one of their fundraisers. And so you just never know, like, why things happen the way they happen. And so it hadn't happened before, but it's happening now. And so, like I said, like, I think the doors are just opening for me now. So everything's happening.
I mean, you seem so much more confident and just happy where you are now.
Yes.
Within yourself, you seem so different than, what was it, a year, 2 years ago? Whole different place.
Definitely way better than 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I wasn't even speaking. I wasn't talking much. I was very quiet in the calls. I was the last one to participate or share or and I would always just get very emotional. And so yes, definitely way better than
completely different. It's incredible to see.
So, being stuck behind a desk where you don't talk to anybody for 30 years is probably not good for you. I gotta get out there and talk to people.
I just don't see you in that role at all.
You didn't know me before.
No.
Well, you know, this version of me.
It's like before. until about the age of 30 plus, I used to work in a biochemistry lab. I used to test all the blood samples. I worked in a research lab. And it's just so against everything that I am now, you know, it was routine. Obviously, it was science, it was analytical, and just so not creative.
Yes. And so it's like, if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend that you just, even just coloring books. I mean, that helped my mom um, with her anxiety and, of course, the essential oils. And so she was started coloring, books. And again, she was 85 when she started doing that. And so it's never too late, like never too old to start doing something like
No,
this. So age or knowledge or, not knowing what to do, like Intuartiv Expression is just the perfect way to explore and to start, because it doesn't require you to know any, color theory or
no,
nothing like that. And so because it's just, I mean, you get muddy colors and next time you just not mix these two colors with those two colors and you don't get mud, but sometimes mud can be fun, so
yeah, that's part of it. And it's exactly that, because art has almost given creativity a bad name in some ways, because we tend to think of art as being, we saw this fine art in the museums, we saw these artists making these incredible paintings, and then we think, oh my goodness, I can't do that.
right.
As we know, we're all born creators. If you give a child a paintbrush, they will paint without ever asking the question of, can I paint or not? And then school comes along, and yes, there's probably many art classes, but it's always within parameters. You need to do it this way, you need to do it that way, you need to color in the lines, you need to do this technique, and then we start comparing. But for me, true art and true creativity comes deep within the soul, and it's just another way of expressing. And when we go to art classes, we're taught how to do things, we're taught how to do technique. Maybe that there's models you copy, but it's not really tapping into who you truly are, to find, I think, even your true style, or even the type of medium.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying everything, and we may find, like, I've suddenly found, oh my goodness, air dry clay is just so incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's the beauty with Intuartiv, that not only is it a healing tool for healing that emotional pain, but it also completely opens you up to your own innate creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
to find it, and to release that thing of needing it to be right, or to be beautiful. It's just purely expression of how we're feeling in that moment.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so I have tried to do something, and I'm just not, my head is just not in the right place. And then I start doing it, I start getting that frustrated feeling. And so what I do is I just step away, I let it go, and then I'll come back to it, and then I'll finish it, and then it will be good. So it's like that, those layers, when you get to the second, third layer, but you didn't get to the fourth one, and so now you're like stuck. But now I know that I just step away for a minute or an hour or 2 hours or even the next day, and I come back to it, and then I can finish it. I can
Yeah,
finish.
yeah, because
That's
some of that block, we just don't want. There's just something just stopping us, and it can, yeah, we're in a different place if we step away. And I think that's so true in life. It's so representative of life itself.
hmm
The same, if we can't find a solution, or we're getting frustrated, just go and have a walk in the garden
yeah,
and come
yeah,
back.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that's the other thing with, doing this type of art is like you can just leave it alone and nothing's going to happen to it. Like nothing's going to break, nothing's going to fall off. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, and to come back to it in a different mindset.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's also taught me like patience, because sometimes, you have to wait for paint to dry or something. And so patience is something that I'm not very good at. So it's taught me, to have some patience.
Very, very much. Very much. That's, yeah, I forgot my hairdryer tonight, so I am painting in layers, but they're going to be very, very thick. I'm so used to having, really thick. I've really put my paint on quite thick, and not tonight. It's good. So far,
Yay. I'll show you mine. This is where I'm at. I'm also working later, so I want a lot of texture on
oh,
it.
wow. Have you been using a knife for that, a palette knife, or? I
I
love that.
started with just a spatula like this, just a spatula. But you can use a palette knife. And then now I'm using a brush and then a chip brush to make more markings. And then I've been using my sponge just to tap and dab. And so we'll see. We'll keep building on the layers.
It's unbelievable. When I think back to when we first met, if we told your person who you were then, that this is what you've been doing now.
Yeah, no, nobody would have like guessed it and gotten it right.
That's incredible.
So in the end, I hope it kind of like resembles driftwood.
So is there something that you would love to try but you haven't done yet
I
as a
haven't done this
medium?
yet. No. So I haven't done this yet. So I thought I'd give it a try with our little paint and chat.
Oh, these are really good fun. The rubber end.
Oh, I've never seen that.
They're just like a paintbrush, but it's just rubber or plastic, and you get all sorts of different shapes, and they're really good for scraping away.
Uh-huh.
They get to the paint
Okay.
underneath. And I love using these with a hairdryer at the same time, because they do make the paint stand up more, and you get a lot of texture with it.
Uh-huh.
But as I don't have my hairdryer tonight, it won't be possible.
You hear me? I'm scraping over here.
Do you find it's different because we're talking than you painting normally on your own?
Yes, because like right now I'm doing it just very intuitively. And so a second ago, I was actually getting into that Zen. I just doing it. And I'm like, oh no, but I'm supposed to be like chit-chatting and talking. This is
But
different for me.
if you want to go in that Zen moment, you completely can. It is absolutely.
So I think that if I was doing this just on my own like this, I would just allow that Zen to come through and just stick with it. And that's when I feel like maybe I get more inspired to like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, should I maybe add this color or that color? Or no, maybe I'll use, something else to create some texture to it. Or I'll like I have it this way and I might flip it, and just go, oh, okay, what does it look like this way or this way, versus this
That's
way.
gorgeous.
So it's like, okay, maybe this will work in multiple ways, because it's not one directional type of
No.
artwork, it can be different ways. So when I'm in my Zen, I might those are some of the thoughts that might, pop into my head. It's just another time I'm just like leave it alone for a few minutes and then I'll look at it again and see if not there's something else. And sometimes I'll leave it alone and then later in the night I'm like, oh, I could do this.
That gets so frustrating. The times I've had that thinking, oh my God, oh my God. I know that there's times I've woken up before about 6:30 and I'll be up painting, I just have to get up and paint. It just like would just get me, and you just need to do it.
Yeah,
If you feel that Zen moment you want to get into it, don't worry, you know, we can have moments of silence where we're not talking.
silence.
It's quite okay.
Yeah, no, sometimes I'll have like I have to do something and I know I have to get ready, I have to go. But I get, like you said, I have to paint, I have to do something. And so maybe I'll just come in like and paint, you know, the flowers that I was painting. Let's see if I have one here. Yeah, I think I do. And so this is something just really quick. You can't see the color very well.
Oh, wow.
And so they come natural raw color and then I just paint. And so sometimes even something like this, where I'm just painting it really quick, like that's enough to get me like this thing that I have to just paint to create.
I totally get it. And I think that's where the air dry clay is lovely as well, because, you know, I can just paint a pebble and if I just feel like painting. And it's so different to painting on paper, because like when I'm doing Intuartiv, the paper's big, I'm using big brushes and using lots of paint. And with the pebbles, I'm using really small brushes and paint there's almost dry. It's actually, in fact, the best paint I'm finding is really old tubes of acrylic paint that are really small and they're getting really dry. And then I can just, you know, lightly put the paint on. And it takes me into such a completely different zone because I'm on such a tiny area.
All space, yeah.
It really
brings
you
into it's quite different. So I did I'm used to, you know, just working on the table and my whatever I'm working on. But the last time I painted, I want it big. And so what I did is I just put it against this wall right here. I just put like 4 pieces of paper and I just started painting standing up and big. And so that was also different feeling, different experience. And so you can also do that at home. I mean, just paper and put it on the wall. I mean, put something to protect your floors and it's a different experience for sure. For sure.
That is something I'd love. I've got a big canvas. It must be probably a couple of meters across. Also, the biggest canvas I've painted. I haven't painted yet. And yeah, to get that moment where either put it on the floor or I put it on the wall. And it's waiting for me for that. I want to get the right moment when I really feel like doing it. It'll be something special.
Yes.
But yeah, it is so different. And painting standing up, painting sitting down. Even when you're on the table, I'm sitting down like this or standing up painting.
Yeah.
Just so not the same.
Not only is not the same, but you get a different feel for, you know,
very different.
Something small versus something very big. And so my worry when I was doing that big one was that I couldn't connect the whole thing together. And so, and it was just abstract and intuitive. It wasn't like I was trying to get anywhere. But I was doing some meditations with it. And it was interesting because I was just asking, like, what do you want next? Like, what do you want next, right? And I know it sounds like woo-woo, but I did get what it wanted next. And so it was layers, of course, because it was about a 3-week process. And I was only doing it like once or twice a week. I was only coming to it once or twice a week. So I just left it up there and I'd come back to it and I'd say, okay, like I was trying to like immerse myself into the painting or into what I was doing there and just say like, what else do you want? And so in the end, it ended up being a balloon, a hot air balloon with the basket underneath. And then, but before that, it was completely different. It started out like just like ocean, like it was just blues and greens and plants, like just leaves. And then that's where it ended up. And so I think that for me, when I was asking for it, it was sort of like me like saying, okay, like you have the freedom to do whatever you want and fly and just go. And so that was what I got. And sometimes if you ask what you're, what it wants to come out, I'm not sure if I can explain it right, but it'll guide you to where it wants to go. You don't have a preconceived idea of where it's going to be. I mean, you can, but you don't have to.
So for that, when you ask the question, because I know for me, when I'm doing Intuartiv, I will start to hear or start to see just the next stroke. I'll be doing one, and then the next stroke comes in, and then I see the next stroke. So it's just like walking, over stepping stones. You just see the next stepping stone. For you, was it, when you asked it what it wanted, was it about the strokes to do, or was it showing you more the picture on that layer that it needed to be?
On the layer, on the picture, because I would just do the strokes, and then those strokes are happening because I was getting that, okay, make the balloon shape, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, now it needs the basket. And now it needs, I did some swirly things for wind, So it came like that. That's how it came.
And I think that's something I found with Intuartiv as well, that it does help to develop your intuition and to listen, because again, it's not about painting something. So we're really having to tune in and just go with that flow. And the more we listen to it and where we want it, where it's wanting to take us, even with using the oils, I think it just helps us to tune in to really what's going on at a deeper level. Yeah, which is exactly what you're doing.
So when I do my paintings and I really want to just get into the zone and zen and just do it without really a lot of thinking, I do the essential oils. I didn't do it today, but I do take my essential oils and I will use them in the paint, and I will also just do some inhalations and maybe a small meditation, just like a few minutes. I don't have to do a long meditation. And what I really want is just get myself from my heart, from my head to my heart. Right? They say the longest distance is between your head to your heart. And so the essentials for me, they help me get there faster.
Definitely.
I can definitely remove some blocks maybe that I have that day, or and that's what the meditation does for me.
So when you use the oils in that instance, do you choose them again intuitively, or do you?
I choose them intuitively.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I have lots of them, so I can do that. You only have a few. And since we're talking about essential oils, I think it's important that we mention that they can't be like something that you buy at the grocery store. They can't be, here in the States, we have Walmart or we have Target, but they have to be 100% pure essential oils.
Totally.
They cannot fragrance oils, that won't work.
No, and I've done, and I'll explain why that's important. And I've had people try with normal oils or high street oils, and then with the high vibrational oil, so we're using doTERRA, and they really did find that the effect was totally different. Yes, you're going to get a sensorial effect, you're going to have a beautiful smell, and that's absolutely fine, but it's not what it's about. And the thing is with high vibrational oils, they are high vibrational because they've basically been made in love and all the way through, that there's just so much love put into that bottle from the start to the end. And high vibration means it's able to tap into those spiritual and emotional planes, whereas the ones you're going to be finding on the high street or in the pharmacy, they have a low vibration, so they're only really able to work on the physical. So, for example, tea tree for insect bites, or lavender for, for helping you to sleep. But they're not going to tap into that emotional, spiritual plane. And it's when you're doing, if you're interested in doing healing work and spiritual work, if you're wanting to go to those depths, then you're going to need the tools to do it with. And it's kind of like, you want the gourmet experience, but you're going to go eat at McDonald's. It's just not going to do it.
No, exactly. And so it's important that if you are going to use the essentials, that you use the right kind.
Yeah.
Like you said, those high vibration oils.
Yeah, they really do the job.
I also get different effects, I guess, when I use a very high, because each oil has their own frequency. And so when I use, for instance, rose, which is probably the highest or one of the higher ones, I get very different results, I guess, or
wow,
emotions.
In what way?
I tend to I don't want to say like levitate, but it feels like a levitation. So I just feel more expanded. I feel like I'm rising. I feel like this big energy in my heart, and it's a different feeling versus using just like a peppermint. Like for me, the grounding oils like vetiver and frankincense and cypress, like that, they do that to me. The sweet ones, like flowery ones, like neroli or lavender, or one that I don't like very much is geranium. It's too flowery for me. So I prefer the more grounding oils made out of wood bark or wood sap or roots. But yeah, they all have different effects, and then mixing them also has a different effect. So,
and did you find those effects before you started painting with them, or did the painting help you to fit into them even more?
Yeah, so I'll get like an initial like woo, and then as I start painting and I'm still smelling them, then it really, it can, when I get in that Zen zone, I can really expand. Sometimes be scary, but since I know nothing's gonna happen, I allow it.
It's the hot air balloon, isn't it? You should go look at that hot air balloon.
Yeah. Yes. So I know like nothing's gonna happen, so I just allow it and I let it be.
That's incredible. And did you have that before you discovered Intuartiv? Did you have those effects as well with the oils beforehand? Or did the process help you to connect with them more?
Yeah, definitely. Before I used them a lot on my mom, but that was just for her anxiety. And so of course, me applying them on her, I was also getting the side effect, I guess. But I wasn't saying like, oh, I'm gonna use these for this. But I believe that I was just getting, because it was on me, it was on my hands, and she was getting the benefit. I could see the change in her, but I myself wasn't realizing that it was also helping me, right? So to help calm me down, because I was getting anxious to see her anxious. And even though I wasn't seeing that was a problem for me, it helped me then. Okay, she's just going through this. I'm going to do this, and then she'll be fine in 10-15 minutes. Versus before, the oils, I'd see her go through it. I wanted to help her, and I didn't know how. And then I was getting, worried and anxious. And for what she was going through. But then later it was like, okay, I know that it's just momentary, and she'll, once we get the oils on her, she'll be fine. And then she would start coloring her books, and then she was really fine.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned that before, and it's so interesting because I mean they came in, well, over in Europe. They probably came in about 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and it's something. It's, kids had coloring books, but to see that, for adults, and it is so therapeutic. Again, just bringing it back into that little moment, that little space, and just coloring that one little bit.
Yeah, so she would color, 2 or 3 pages in the day. And again, she didn't have any, art classes before, but I could see how she would take her coloring pencils, and she'd put them next to each other on a separate piece of paper.
Oh,
And
wow.
then she would see, okay, do they go together? Do they match? And then she would, based on that, she would then use those colors next to each other on her coloring book. And like nobody taught her that, she just did it.
And
Yeah.
that's the way it should be, isn't it? Because again, it's rules. We were talking about this with Steve the other day, how that this saying is like blue and green should never be seen. And yet blue and green can be absolutely beautiful together. And I love that the colours of like orange and red together, or orange and pink.
Yeah.
And to me, and I think that there's something that just tends to go against rules. But when we just do it just because we feel it looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I just never know. Unless you start doing it, the benefits it could have for you. Um,
So um if I, for example, if you were offered a day to be with to do some type of art class or to learn something, and the sky's the limit, there's no worry about cost or anything, what would you love to spend a day doing, or who with to do it with? Like to be with an artist, or to be taught something, or to learn a technique?
um, yeah, I would spend the day doing artwork for sure. With who? Oh, I mean, if I could go back in time and I could do it with, some of the great artists of Italy or France, the Renaissance artists, I would probably like
Mm.
to do that. I do like vintage stuff. It just calls to me. Whenever I've been to Italy, I go to all the museums, and it almost feels like home to me. Like, oh, maybe in a past life I lived here, or just it feels that way to me. Same when I went to Egypt and I saw the pyramids for the first time.
Mm.
The energy that I got in that place. Woo, I mean, and I don't know that everybody else feels that way when they go to see them, but for me, like it just blew me away, the energy. And I even wrote an article about it for the company that I worked for, because they were doing like 50 essential vacations. And
Mm.
so mine was about, well, my trip to Egypt. And so it was published into a book and then on the internet as well. But
Oh,
the energy was just like, whoa, like so amazing. And it's, like some people think they're just rocks, right? But no.
no, no, there's something very, very special. I mean, I've never been. I too feel like I've got a connection there,
Mhm.
but I've never been, and I know that the energies can be colossal. Absolutely.
Oh, it's amazing. And I felt that not everywhere because I've traveled to many, many places thanks to my previous job. But I felt that when I went to Israel, and
Mm.
I did the Holy Land, and I felt that when I went. It's amazing. Like well, there's different feelings, different experience, but when I went to Bora Bora, and it was just, to me, that was like, this is paradise. Like, this is what heaven is like. um, Israel was painful. That I felt so much pain there.
Wow, really?
I cried a lot in Israel.
Goodness.
Um, and then the other place that was just like absolutely beautiful was Rio de Janeiro. The energy there.
Oh,
So I don't know like why that is, but it is. I can't explain it. Other than that was just what I was feeling. Or,
mm,
oh. And other people too, like especially in Israel. I mean, there was a lot of tears and on that tour. So other people were experiencing the same thing. Yeah.
mm.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe that what happened there and is still that energy still trapped there. I don't know.
Very much. Well, also with emotion code, how emotions get trapped in the body.
Yes.
And I've also done it on rooms because
Mm,
obviously emotions get trapped within walls. Walls have ears, it comes from that. And so I also truly believe as well that land also has trapped emotion. When you've had so much going on, that those emotions, because emotion is just vibration, it's just energy, is also then trapped into the ground.
yeah.
So
So
completely.
I mean, that kind of feeling of pain also, I mean, for obvious reasons,
Wow.
in Germany when I went to the
Mm,
camps. Whew, like just now, it just gives me the chills. But I think that you're right. That energy is trapped there.
very much.
Yeah. So with the motion code, I mean, you did a session for me, and that was the other thing that I think goes really well together with the intuitive expression is having that emotion code release because
Mm,
no, I mean this intuitive expression helps me release a lot of that. But when I did that, that was just like it was faster. It was instant. It was quick. I didn't have to wait. It was
no.
really really good. Yeah.
And it's yeah, it is quick, and obviously it's more precise because you can work on very specific things as well. And even though I do find that intuitive is almost like the creative form of emotion code.
Yeah.
It's releasing, and it's a way, as we said before, it's a way of releasing that pain without needing to feel that pain, but just allowing it to be. And once it's like with journaling, once you take it out of the body and it's there on paper, you're allowed to stare at it and see it and feel it at a distance. It's no longer yours, it's there in front of you. And once
Yeah.
it's there, you can then, as you say, bin it, burn it, and do what you want with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I had that one painting that I burned, it also helped. Like when I just saw it disintegrate, and then the smoke just like take it away. Like, oh, okay, I feel better now.
Oh, you're such a different person, Norma, to who you used to be. It's incredible to change. It's so good.
Yeah,
You just like this flower that's opened and bloomed and, come to be the person you're meant to be.
I get emotional again, but what you just said to me, somebody said to me, I don't know, almost 30 years ago. So I was just at a pharmacy, and here it's called CVS. It is just a pharmacy store. And that day I'd become a US citizen. And so I'd stopped by at the pharmacy just before I came home to pick something up. There was a gentleman there, and he like was looking at me, and of course I had to be dressed up because I was just gotten my citizenship. And so I was wearing a suit and, you know, just my hair done and everything. And then he's just looking at me and, you know, you notice someone looking at you, you just turn around. And so he just started talking to me, and definitely, I didn't know back then, but he was definitely an empath. You know, he could sense my feelings and sense things about me that at that time scared me. Because he was just, the way he was talking to me, it wasn't like he was telling me something from my past or something. He was just telling me who I was, like he knew me, who I was. But all he was doing is just sensing my energy, obviously. And so he just wanted to like approach me and start talking to me, even though I hadn't asked him for it. And so that, I think that's the part that scared me, because I hadn't asked for it. He was just doing it. And then he looks at me and he's like, you're like this flower that hasn't bloomed. He's like, you're just the bud. He's like,
Yes.
there is so much inside of you, so much in your heart, so much beauty. He's like, when you do bloom, it's like, you are going to bloom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
You brought that up.
And that's exactly how I would describe the Norma that I first knew at the beginning of the courses and how you are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly that. You were this little bud that was tightly closed, not daring to open.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, you're fully in bloom.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see.
Yeah. It's so wonderful. Well, I'm not done with this yet because it still needs more layers. I don't know how much longer you want to go.
Well, I was just going to say we'll close it up. Especially for obviously for the people watching, so we won't paint for our watching when you watch it on YouTube. Yeah, I mean this is a good hour, and it's a perfect time to close it up. So I don't know if you have a Facebook page or anything of where.
Follow me on my Facebook, just my name, Norma Serrano. The way that my Facebook profile is set up is you can friend me or you can just follow me. And you could see a lot of my pictures of the artwork that I post. And, you know, I will post on there once I start offering classes. Maybe I'll just do them like this via Zoom or in person. But yeah, that's how they can stay in touch with me.
And it's well worth seeing your art. It really is, because you blow me what you do. It's breathtaking. It's really well, just seeing from behind, you know, what you've got right there. So right, let's have a quick look at what you
have a look.
I love that.
Yeah, and so now I can also do it this way.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Or I can do it. Well, that's kind of the same, but
and it's one of those things, you know, where you don't well, everybody can make their own interpretation.
Yeah.
Of it. To me, I see like a lake in there. There's reflection. It's
a lake, yeah.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And it's like that band is almost like the bank of the lake, and it's just in the reflection of the trees, and it's absolutely beautiful.
So I'll probably add some more layers to the bottom, and I will maybe put a quote on it, you know, just to something.
Wonderful. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And maybe I might, if you allow me to, I might even use that as, I don't know, I'll share it on with the YouTube as well in some way.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Norma. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Really, really fun to spend an hour with you.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. So thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you soon for another chat and paint.
Bye.
Bye.